Welcome to the webinar, Food Safety and Quality Regulations, a Guide to Global Standards. This presentation explains the key elements of top global standards and what they apply to. It also helps you to identify in which country or region a particular standard is more prevalent in, and how product inspection equipment comes into play. This webinar begins by looking at the overview of regulatory bodies. It then compares and contrasts for compliance and explains the key internal systems and plans for compliance. It further details how detection technologies are a tool in regulatory compliance and much more. Let's begin with the regulatory overview. Depending on the location and type of business, a manufacturer may be guided by dozens of standards, regulations, and/or laws. That said, there are important globally recognized food safety standards that affect most manufacturers' operations in some way. They are International Organization for Standardization, or ISO 22000, Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point, or HACCP, Codex Alimentarius, Global Food Safety Initiative, or GFSI, British Retail Consortium Global Standard, or BRCGS, for food safety, International Featured Standards, or IFS, and Safe Quality Food, or SQF, program. We will learn more about these in the following slides. So let's start with ISO. ISO is an independent organization that includes 161 national standards bodies and works to develop voluntary market-relevant international standards that provide solutions to global issues. The relevant standard for food safety management within ISO, which is also pivotal as the trend toward globalization continues, is the ISO 22000. The ISO 22000 family of standards is designed to help manufacturers identify and control food safety hazards, including but not limited to contaminants. A core of the standard is the deployment of a food safety management system, or FSMS, a strategy for creating and maintaining a food safety program in compliance with pertinent local, national, and global standards. FSSC 22000 is a GFSI benchmarked certification program based on the international ISO 22000 standards. It brings in all of those requirements and provides a certification program that is served by food safety management systems. Its certification programs are available to companies all over the world. There are many certification bodies and schemes, and they all meet the basics of the GFSI. You choose which one is most applicable to your company. For example, you might want to choose a particular certification because of your geographic market. FSSC 22000 is well known in Europe, Asia, Latin America, and is growing in the U.S. The FSSC 22000 scheme consists of three components: ISO 22000, sector-specific PRPs, and additional requirements. Besides these three components, there's a FSSC 22000 quality option based on the additional requirements of ISO 9001. FSSC 22000 requires engagement. In this platform, everyone has to have a role, be trained, and know what they're doing and why they're doing it. That relates to food safety culture. Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point, or HACCP system, focuses on key points of vulnerabilities or critical control points for hazards within various steps in the production process. In the U.S., HACCP regulations were first implemented by the Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, and Food Safety Inspection Service, or FSIS, of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, or USDA, beginning in the late 1990s. Today, the science-based HACCP system is an internationally recognized approach to identifying hazards and measures to ensure food safety. HACCP focuses on measures and methods to prevent hazards, such as contaminants, from moving through the chain. The 7 principles of HACCP are: conduct a hazard analysis, identify critical control points, or CCPs, establish critical limits for critical control points, establish monitoring procedures, establish corrective actions, establish verification procedures, establish record-keeping and documentation procedures. Codex Alimentarius is a collection of globally recognized standards and guidelines and codes of practices that are referenced in several national food safety standards. This food code was developed by the Codex Alimentarius Commission, a joint venture between the Food and Agricultural Organization, or FAO, of the United Nations and the World Health Organization, or WHO. GFSI, created by private organizations in 2000, is designed to improve food safety management programs through various benchmarking requirements that are broad yet relevant enough to translate across different countries and regions. GFSI benchmark requirements recognize certain food safety management schemes that fulfill criteria as set forth in its regularly updated GFSI guidance document. Being certified to GFSI's benchmark standards demonstrates an organization's serious commitment to food safety to customers and potential customers across the world. As the first food safety standard to be recognized by the GFSI in 2000, the BRCGS Food Safety Standard is a total quality management program for food safety and quality. It was developed by the British Retail Consortium Global Standard, or BRCGS, a trade organization for retailers in the United Kingdom, and is now used as standard around the world. The newest standard, Issue 8, came out early in 2019. The standard maintains fundamental components like HACCP plans, but includes new and updated elements, such as a greater emphasis on improving an organization's food safety culture, more stringent requirements for environmental monitoring, and clarity on requirements for high-risk production zones, among other changes. IFS, an important standard in Europe, is also recognized by the GFSI benchmarking requirements. IFS is also being used more often around the world because it establishes a common standard with a uniform evaluation system for suppliers throughout the supply chain. The scope of requirements includes senior management responsibility, quality and food safety management systems, resource management, planning and production process, measurements, analysis and improvements, and food defense. Audits are part of certification to the IFS, covering safety and quality, and companies can use the IFS logo and certificate to demonstrate their compliance with this high uniform standard. Created by the SQF Institute to control food safety risks, the Safe Quality Food, or SQF program, is a food safety management certification scheme that is recognized around the world by manufacturers, retailers, and food service operators. It covers the whole farm-to-fork supply chain with a separate standard that assesses product quality. Exemplifying some of the overlap of food safety standards, the SQF program fuses protocols for HACCP and ISO 22000. SQF certification is also a recognized GFSI standard. The difference is that SQF covers both safety and quality simultaneously. The combination of both elements is one reason why many companies seek SQF certification. On the books since 2011 in the United States, the Food Safety Modernization Act, or FSMA, is designed to prevent food safety hazards, including the spread of contaminants, and to improve the detection of and response to food safety problems. The law is enforced by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, which can now order recalls if the agency believes food is contaminated or poses a hazard. This reflects a shift in mindset and approach from reacting to food safety crises and problems to preventing them. Food manufacturers in the U.S. must comply with general FSMA requirements, including registering with the FDA on a biannual basis, creating a food safety plan with preventive controls based on hazard analysis where HACCP fits in, creating a food defense plan, and properly reporting foods that can cause adverse health effects. In addition to global organizations, individual countries have their own agencies, regulatory bodies, and food safety laws and regulations that impact food and beverage production in those areas. The Safe Foods for Canadians Act in Canada, the FSA in England, the EFSA in Europe, the State Food and Drug Administration in China, the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, Department of Food Safety within the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare in Japan, and the food standards for Australia and New Zealand. Good manufacturing practices, or GMPs, are the proverbial building block of all food safety programs that are ultimately compliant with global, regional, national, and local regulations and standards. In principle, GMPs, which are accepted worldwide, include practices, systems, and controls for making safe, high-quality products that are produced, packaged, and stored under hygienic conditions. GMPs, along with Standard Operating Procedures, or SOPs, are part of HACCP plans and ISO 22000 standards. GMPs are formally written into food regulations in the U.S. by the FDA. While they are fundamental in safety and quality programs, GMPs are also an assurance to a manufacturer and its customers that the organization has measures in place to produce and deliver safe products. The depth and breadth of global food safety standards may be intimidating for those putting plans in place for safety, quality assurance, and compliance, but many of the schemes are designed to be integrated into others for more streamlined compliance and a simpler certification and audit process. The overlap in some cases is intentional. Here are some examples of some of the overlap and integration. GMPs are a prerequisite for HACCP and a basic part of ISO 22000 standards. Codex Alimentarius are part of FSMS, integrated into ISO 22000. HACCP is integrated into ISO 22000. BRCGS and SQF are recognized by GFSI, and HACCP and ISO are integrated into SQF programs. Audits are a part of operating under and abiding by regulations and standards. In the U.S., food and beverage plants may be subject to audits by the U.S. FDA and USDA, among other regulatory agencies. As part of certification to the GFSI food safety standards, such as BRCGS, SQF, and IFS, companies also can be audited, usually by third-party certification bodies. Audit timing, frequency, and requirements vary. Manufacturers following requirements and standards for food safety and quality have certain food safety protocols and practices in place internally to make sure they are aligned with what's expected and required of their operation. Those protocols and practices include, but are not limited to, GMPs, SOPs, prerequisite programs or PRPs, HACCP plans, and Food Safety Management Systems, or FSMS. GMPs, a foundation for other food safety protocols. GMPs encompasses methods, systems, facilities, and controls in the production of safe, high-quality foods and beverages. GMPs are typically included in food regulations. SOPs, written practices and procedures that include details on how foods or beverages are produced safely within a facility or company. Prerequisite programs, or PRPs. Since the passage of the FSMA, PRPs in the U.S. have the same weight as Critical Control Points, or CCPs. PRPs can include Operational Prerequisite Programs, or OPRPs, with control measures that help prevent significant hazards. HACCP plans. Science-based HACCP plans are in place to identify and prevent hazards, including contaminants that pose food safety risks. Diligent record-keeping is part of HACCP, which helps with demonstrated compliance and also shows a company's customers that the organization is serious about food safety and quality. Food Safety Management Systems, or FSMS, are part of an organization's management system and has all of the elements to ensure food safety. As manufacturers implement food safety practices to stay compliant with regulations and standards, they have tools at their disposal to prevent hazards and demonstrate their strong food safety commitment and programs. As a technology that detects and rejects physical contaminants, X-ray is a crucial part of food safety programs. X-ray systems are a fundamental element of GMPs, and, moving up the pyramid of dependencies in HACCP, SQF, ISO 22000, and FSMS, that in turn are approved by and compliant with GFSI, and government regulatory bodies. HACCP. X-ray systems are installed at critical control points, or CCPs, from the assessment of raw materials in the beginning of the process to a final check of the package before a shipment leaves a facility. SQF. In safe quality food standards, X-ray systems are also used to maximize the detection of foreign contaminants and perform important quality checks like component count, mass measurement, fill level, package integrity, and more. Traceability. Detection systems that are paired with advanced image analysis software can deliver better traceability. Having systems in place with traceability is also an important demonstration to food safety during an audit by a regulatory body or third-party auditor on site to certify an organization to a particular standard or standards. Before we go, let's take a few moments to sum up. With so much at stake in the multi-billion-dollar global food trade, producing safe food in a competitive international marketplace means being familiar and compliant with food safety standards and regulations. Preventing hazards is at the heart of all food safety schemes, which requires diligence at the point of production. That includes robust inspection capabilities, like advanced X-ray technologies with accompanying data-rich software. To have advanced inspection systems in place that focus on hazards is crucial to adhering to past, present, and future standards. By partnering with inspection experts with a presence around the globe, such as Eagle Product Inspection, food and beverage manufacturers can stay compliant and competitive on a continual basis. If you wish to learn more about building a food safety culture, please visit the link shown on screen. Thank you. And if you'd like to stay up to date with the latest product inspection trends, just follow us on social media. Connect with us on LinkedIn. Follow us on Twitter @EagleXray. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel.